Hi, welcome to today's healing. I'm Kristen, and if you're joining me today, that means that you are ready to make a change in yourself and the world around you. We're going to be talking about Carl Jung's archetypes today. I did an overview video last time on the 4 major and the 12 minor archetypes. And today we are going to be doing the persona and the shadow. And next time I will be doing anima, animus, and self. And just then after that, I will break down the minor 12. So let's get started, shall we? And again, I have to read it so I don't forget it, but I have scripted it out. So, okay, the persona. The social mask or role an individual presents to the outside world, acting as a vital intermediary between their true self and society. And I'm sure that you have done this yourself. I have done this myself, depending on who I'm talking to. You know, things just kind of shift up and change, and I go according to the conversation or the person I'm speaking to. And boy, I've seen other people do this where it's like, wow, that doesn't seem like them. And they're just responding too with the persona, the mask. This is derived from the Latin word for an actor's mask. It navigates social situations by conforming to societal expectations and creating specific, often idealized impressions. It can become a problem when the individual over-identifies with this societal mask. They have loss of authenticity and hindering the process of individuation or self-realization. The persona is largely influenced by the outer world. The persona's function is to adapt to different social settings and full expectations of their environment. It conceals the individual's true nature and vulnerabilities from others. It carefully constructs an image designed to make a specific impression on others and gain acceptance. It represents a compromise between an individual's internal psychology and the demands of society. Potential pitfalls can be dangerous when one mistakenly believes they are the persona. They can get so lost in acting, if you will, of being a different person that they have brought into existence because it's easier, and they have so much pain and trauma or whatever, just buried, and their true self is just so hidden in the deep, deep recesses. They lose themselves to the persona. Rather than recognizing it as a social construct, when the persona prevents individuals from developing a deeper connection with their true self, and when the persona is too rigid and dominant, leading to a sense of living an inauthentic life, disconnected from one's genuine self. This is sad. And I I wonder at times, when I was really working through everything, was I my authentic self? Did my persona take over? What persona did I use? And we'll break down the 12 minor personas in other videos, and you can kind of get an idea of what you show to the world. Ego versus persona. The ego is the center of conscious awareness, while the persona is the outward-facing aspect of the self. It is the most external part of the ego. Shadow versus persona. The shadow represents the repressed or unconscious aspects of the personality, which the persona often conceals. Self versus persona. The self is the total personality, integrating all aspects of the psyche, including the persona, ego and shadow, representing the ultimate goal of Jung's concept of individuation. I can't separate my papers. The shadow archetype. This is the second one of the major archetypes, 4 major archetypes. The darker side of the psyche, representing wildness, chaos, and the unknown. The repressed aspects of our personality, including socially unacceptable traits, fears, and hidden potentials. Yes, it hides our true potentials. It just can't fathom that there's anything good about this person, about you. It is the part of the self that the ego denies or projects onto others. And you know it's got to be bad if the ego is rejecting it. The shadow includes repressed qualities such as aspects of oneself that are deemed inferior, evil, or simply unacceptable by ego and society. The shadow exhibits negative traits such as hypocrisy, fear, and cruelty that we'd rather not acknowledge in ourselves. Hidden potentials that the shadow can also contain are positive aspects that are unexpressed or denied, such as creativity, honesty, or courage. The shadow takes this away from us. It's hidden even deeper and deeper, and we have to face that shadow to be our authentic self. The shadow manifests in projecting our own undesirable traits onto others, harshly judging them for qualities we dislike in ourselves. This has happened to me, and you know what? Once I realized this, every time I felt judgmental, I dug in deep, and it's like, what is it about myself that I don't like, that I'm picking up on that other person? Because our dislikes of other people have something to do with our dislikes of ourselves that we bury away, that we deny. And it's very important that we start meeting this shadow so that we can be our authentic selves. By unconscious actions, when the shadow remains unintegrated, its context can strike unexpectedly through irritability, inexplicable moods, or uncharacteristic cruelty. This is eruptive behavior. We've all seen people just explode over nothing. And what happens is it's old anger. Old anger from old traumas or, times in your life that you don't want to remember. And so if something minor happens, this person or yourself just erupts in rage and anger, and it's scary. And I used to do that. I used to get road rage, I have to admit. But the anger would be explosive. And then I found out what it was. It's the old stuff. And so now, if I get angry, I just say, I am so angry. I am so angry. And it's not eruptive. It's not volcanic. And I know that I'm angry in that moment, not what has come up from the past. So be very aware of this and notice it in others as well. Inner conflict is another manifestation of the shadow. A weak or unacknowledged shadow can lead to internal struggles and a feeling of being a passive victim of one's own psyche. Jung suggested that facing the shadow is a heroic act, and it is. I have told you before that I really worked on shadow stuff, and it took years, and it was very hard, very difficult, but very rewarding for where I am now in my life, and which is, happiness, and I'm very loving, and it's just a very productive time for me, and I hope this for you, all of you. Let me read that again. Jung suggested that facing the shadow is a heroic act, granting the self-confidence to overcome figure threats by understanding their origins within. And this is what I was just talking about, really digging in. And anytime you're scared or angry or, have this depressive sadness, dig in, find out what it is. It's painful, but it is so rewarding in the end. The difference between ego and shadow, because it sounded like ego was shadow, but they're separate. And so I'm going to relate to you now the difference between ego and shadow. Jung's ego is your conscious sense of identity, the center of awareness that organizes your thoughts, feelings, and sense of self. Shadow is the unacknowledged, repressed, and darker aspects of the psyche. Hidden traits, negative impulses, and undesirable aspects of our personality that the ego rejects. The core of Jung's concept of individuation is involved integrating the shadow into the ego, transforming this repressed darkness into a more complete and conscious self. The ego is the tip of the iceberg, whereas the shadow is what lies underneath. And, we want to work on the ego. We've talked about that, where you want the ego to take a back seat. But what underlies the ego is the shadow. So there's a lot of work to be done. And, I still work on the ego and I still work on shadow, but it's pretty much tamed now. And it doesn't overtake my life. And I wonder, as we get into the 12 minor archetypes, we can discuss what you might be, what I might be. Okay, that's it for today. I appreciate you, and I'm going to go out and change the world, and I want you to go out and change the world. Okay, have a good day. Bye-bye.